Did you know that horticulture is one of the fastest growing activities in the Zambian agricultural sector, making significant contributions to the country's non-traditional exports?
Zambia is a stable political environment, which is extremely important for business. So Zambia has had 5 transitions of power, political transitions of power since 1991, and this basically creates a very predictable environment in terms of transfers or transitions of power. So that's extremely important from the business perspective, knowing that you have this stability. On the economic side, since about early 2004, the economy has been growing consistently. I think average 6% GDP per capita.
Statistics indicate imported vegetables are worth $412.6 million and exported vegetables are worth $11.5 million in Zambia. On the domestic front, horticulture production evolved around the production of tomatoes, vegetables such as rape, cabbage, and onions.
There are many opportunities in the horticulture sector here in Zambia. From the 1.5 million farmers that do agriculture here, about 20% of that are in horticulture. At the moment, what the problem is that farmers cannot actually meet the demand of the market. There's enough produce here that can meet that market demand. However, the volumes are still quite low. Their production volume is low, and the quality of the horticulture products that they're producing is also quite low. So there's very much a need to improve the processes that they're working on, and also the investment into capital, knowledge, and their entrepreneurship skills.
The establishment of large retail chains and smaller supermarkets has led to increased demand as they try to meet customers' needs.
Ideally, in the perfect world, we are not supposed to import anything. We would love to get all the produce locally, but as you well know that there are a lot of constraints. So currently, in terms of vegetables, we are not importing much. 80% comes from within Zambia, even from as far as Livingstone. Yeah, it's only on fruit where we have a lot of challenges, as we can only get probably banana, pineapple, and apples. The rest of the fruits, as you well know, we don't produce any apples. We have to import. A lot of small-scale farmers don't have the capacity to grow certain things out of season because they don't have greenhouses, so they depend on just whatever facility that they have at that moment. A lot of people are growing onions, but they don't have dryers, so all these challenges. But I think if the first thing for me, the most important thing is the training, so they can have the knowledge, they can have the skills, and then empowering them with equipment.
My name is Sabrina Mufuka. We grow onions, tomatoes, and then we've done maize as well. Right now we have about 3 hectares of tomatoes, and then as you can see today, we had people come in from Kitwe, and we picked 425 boxes today, and then we are having other people coming in tomorrow, and then tomorrow we'll be picking about, I think, 350 boxes of tomatoes.
Demand for horticulture products in export markets has been increasing. The drive for organic foods has already contributed to the rise in demand.
The industry has evolved over the last 5 years, I think, in the sense that, before you had a lot of focus on flowers, and then I think what we've seen recently is that, the possibility, for example, for export items has broadened. So items that previously people were not actively looking at, like, pineapples, sweet potatoes, and avocados, we're now being informed that there is a possibility to penetrate, European markets and other markets with these products. Apart from that, Zambia itself imports a large amount of, agricultural products per annum. I think some figures indicate about $400 million per annum, which creates a lot of scope for import substitution, which means that, if local producers are organized, this is a huge market they can tap.
For Dutch companies, there's a great opportunity to invest in Zambia, especially in the input supply and the assembly and wholesale sectors. For example, in input supply, the supply of seedlings, or seed equipment, chemicals and fertilizers. Those are great opportunities to invest in. On the assembly and wholesale side, there's also more on infrastructure, irrigation equipment, cold chain infrastructure, and even other processing equipment.
The Zambian horticulture industry, although relatively young and small in size compared to other African horticulture exporting countries, has great potential to grow into a viable export industry.
This is the Amiran greenhouse where we do our seedlings. It has been in existence for the past 10 years in Zambia. And Amiran, take note that Amiran was the first to introduce the hybrid varieties in Zambia. So our core business here in the nursery is the tomato production. It's 80% of our business. Then we're doing a bit of cabbage, seedlings, and pepper, and bananas. The capacity of this greenhouse is 1 million seedlings at a go. And our clientele right now, we're catering farmers between 250 to 300 farmers. That's our market share. But the opportunities in terms of the agriculture industry, in terms of seedlings, especially for tomato, is quite wide and quite big. Our limitation right now is we cannot transport these seedlings outside Lusaka. We are mainly confined to the areas near to Lusaka for seedlings like Chongwe, Mumbwa, Chisamba, Kafue, and Makeni area within Lusaka. Why? Because of the constraint of the stress that is posed on the seedling. From the time you uproot to the time you transplant, a seedling will need 24 hours at max, then it has to be transplanted. So that's why as Amiran also we have ventured into selling the seeds, which is a new business we've started now, that we're able to go out in the far places of those farmers that cannot reach us here and be able to train them on how to manage their own farm-based seedlings.
So our role as AgriProFocus is really to try and bring Dutch companies and Zambian companies together. So we try and provide a platform where it makes it easier for Dutch companies to come into Zambia and look for investment opportunities. We provide business events where they can network with different Zambian stakeholders. We also are involved in different expos around the country. One of the expos we're involved in is the Agri-Tech Expo, which is held on a yearly basis here in Zambia. Next year in 2017, this will be held on the 27th of April. So the major opportunities for investment are really for Dutch companies to bring in things like their input supply, different products that they produce in that sector, and also equipment. There's also a huge potential for second-hand equipment. You find that a lot of farmers are still in the first stages of mechanization, so a lot of second-hand equipment might be an affordable way of these farmers to grow.
Horticulture is a good business in that you cultivate on a small piece of land, a relatively small piece of land, but your returns are good. We have cabbage, tomato, okra. We also have pumpkin leaves, the local pumpkin leaves, yes. To do business in Zambia, it's not that expensive. It's not that expensive. You can invest just enough to make good returns. And the economy is growing. Zambia's economy is growing. So those who would like to invest in Zambia, really, it's a good destination because we've got a growing economy and the market is also growing.